Alright, so this is our second segment proof, and it is dealing with midpoint. So in this proof we are given that AB is congruent to DE, so this section is congruent to this section, and we are given that B is the midpoint of AC and that E is the midpoint of DF. So start with all of those statements, and our reason is going to be given. And it doesn't matter whether you split these into 3 different steps with given as the reason for all of them, or whether you combine them into one step like I've done. So now, if we know that B is the midpoint, what we should be thinking about next is how can we use the fact that B is the midpoint of AC? And what do we know about midpoints? What you should know about midpoints is that the midpoint is splitting this segment in half. So this is the middle point, just like the name would lead to. So that means that we know that AB is congruent to BC. So we can say that. And if E is the midpoint of DF, it means the same thing. It means that we can split DF into DE and EF. So DE is congruent to EF, and we can do that by the midpoint theorem. But on your test or on your assignments, I would probably accept things like definition of a midpoint or something like that. As long as I know that you understand that it's a midpoint, then we're okay. So after that, we can say that AB is congruent to EF. And we can say that by the transitive property. So since we've said that AB is congruent to DE and that DE is congruent to EF, then we know that AB is congruent to EF. But we don't want this to be AB, we want it to be BC. We've already said that AB is congruent to BC. So we can use substitution to say that BC is congruent to EF. And that's it. So probably the most difficult part of this proof is going from midpoint to these statements, and then realizing that you can use transitive property to go from AB to ED, and then from ED to EF. And that's it.